Rangers need a busy summer to clear out the dead wood in the squad and build a team who will compete for silverware, a team who want to play for Rangers and want the Ibrox club to succeed. In today's video, we have some huge transfer news as it appears the club have made an agreement for a defender. We will look into this in today's video, whilst also going over all the latest Rangers news from the last 24 hours. There is so much to discuss in today's video, so be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for daily Rangers content. But first, Rangers interim manager has admitted Danilo and Oscar Cortez have to do more in training to force their way into contention for the starting 11. Neither forward featured in the starting lineup against Celtic, as they were both named on the bench at Ibrox. Danilo was thrown into the mix in the 93rd minute as he replaced Mohamed Diomande with Cortez, an unused sub in the 1-1 draw in the final derby meeting between Celtic and Rangers this season. Both players have only fairly recently returned from lengthy injury absences, with Ferguson cognizant that their efforts in training will likely be in a totally different training regime, as he branded Ibrox prep on a weekly basis as really intense. But Ferguson, who is in charge until the end of the season, confirmed both players have to do more to force their way into the starting lineup, as he hinted they could feature prominently before the end of the season. Ferguson said, "They're obviously in the squad, but in terms of picking them, I have a decision. You can only pick 11 players. I've watched what happens on the training ground. I see the opposition we've come up against and who'll suit to play against them. But everybody's got an opportunity, they just need to work hard to force their way in. I think the two of them are good players, but they need to do more. They understand that. It's not just a case of you just get in the team for the sake of getting in the team, you need to be in the team on merit. I think you ask the two of them, I think they would agree they have to do more, but also you've got to remember they have had long-term injuries, so it has taken a bit of time for them to get up to speed. It's probably a totally different training regime than they've had before, because the training is really intense. But look, that's why you carry a squad, and maybe before the end of the season they may get an opportunity. Now, Rangers have made an agreement with a defender ahead of the summer transfer window opening, as Jonli Ifeko has completed a permanent departure from Rangers. The central defender has joined Exeter City, where he spent the 2024-25 campaign on loan, on a 2-year deal. Ifeko moved to Ibrox in January 2022, after he departed Leicester City 6 months earlier. Now, after impressing in a temporary spell with Exeter, the move has been made permanent despite the Englishman not featuring since January. Manager Gary Caldwell was delighted to get the deal over the line. He said, "I spoke to John Lee today and said he has every tool at his disposal to be a top player. Now he has to make sure he stays on the pitch next year. He's professional, he's consistent with his work because his ceiling is huge for what he can achieve in his career, and we're delighted to sign him this summer." Ifeko only made one senior appearance for Rangers throughout his time at the club, completing 90 minutes in a League Cup tie with Greenock Morton in 2023. Out injured since January, Ifeko won't feature for Exeter again until the beginning of next season. The club will play their football in 2025/26 in English League One after finishing 10 points above the relegation zone this campaign. In other news, Michael Beale has defended Steven Gerrard's spell in Saudi Arabia, praising the job the former Rangers manager carried out with Al Ettifaq. Gerrard eventually spent 18 months in charge of the club before resigning at the beginning of this year. Beale, who also previously took charge at Ibrox, remains at Al Ettifaq as assistant to Saad Al-Shehri. He has delivered his verdict on Gerrard's spell in the Middle East and his lasting impact. "Gerrard and I were together for nearly 250 games across various clubs, including Rangers, Aston Villa and Al Ettifaq," said Beale. "We worked together and built a very strong relationship, and it was a pleasure to work with him again here in Saudi Arabia after a 2-year hiatus, and I learned a lot from him, of course. The work Gerrard did to finish the first season in 6th place, then leave the club in the semi-finals of the King Cup, was good work. He also helped the club develop all the facilities of the stadium and training grounds to a very good standard, in my opinion." Gerrard's January resignation came as somewhat of a surprise. Beale still isn't sure what happened. He said, "I'm not fully aware of it, it was private between Gerrard and the club. But the club and Steven agreed to go in 2 different directions for the benefit of everyone. Rangers are on the lookout for a new permanent manager this summer." Barry Ferguson took interim charge of the team following Philippe Clement's sacking. It remains to be seen who will be sounded out to take the hot seat that Gerrard and Beale both once occupied. In other news, Rangers are reportedly preparing a summer move for former Premier League winger Moussa Djenepo, as the Mali international's future remains up in the air. Djenepo, 26, spent 4 seasons at Southampton after joining from Belgian side Standard Liège in a £30 million deal back in 2019. Though he showed flashes of brilliance, he ultimately netted just 5 goals in 91 appearances for the Saints before returning to Liège in 2023 for a significantly reduced £3 million fee. Currently on loan at Turkish outfit Antalyaspor, Djenepo's stint in the Super League has been clouded by a salary dispute, casting doubt on a permanent stay despite the club holding an option to buy. The 36-cap international is believed to be reluctant to remain in Turkey, and with a modest £2 million release clause in his league contract, clubs are beginning to circle. According to reports from Africa Foot, Rangers have already made initial contact with Djenepo's representatives, exploring the possibility of bringing the pacey winger to Ibrox this summer. Interestingly, current Rangers midfielder Nico Raskin also had 2 spells with Standard Liège, though his time at the Belgian club did not overlap with Djenepo's. Rangers aren't the only ones keen. Leeds United, newly promoted to the Premier League, are also believed to be tracking the Malian winger. The Yorkshire club, owned by 49ers Enterprises, could play a pivotal role in the transfer landscape this summer, particularly with the American investment group also linked to a major takeover bid at Ibrox. Meanwhile, Israeli side Maccabi Tel Aviv have been linked with Djenepo as well. However, the player is understood to prefer a return to the UK, making Rangers and Leeds his most likely destinations at this stage. Finally, Ali McCoy scoffed at the idea of Rangers having to give Celtic's players a guard of honour ahead of last weekend's derby. The Rangers legend insists those sorts of gestures don't belong in the fixture between Glasgow's big two. Instead, McCoy has shared a cheeky suggestion of what the Rangers players should have done. Emulating Václav Černy's actions at Celtic Park back in March, McCoy shared the idea that Barry Ferguson's players should have sprayed water towards the Hoops players. "I've just had one of the boys text me there, brilliant, and this is a great idea," McCoy said on TalkSport. "Rangers should have done a guard of honour, right? And what we should have done is all the players should have had their water bottles and scooshed them like the boy Černy did at Celtic Park. It will never catch on, old firm guard of honour, never in a million years will it catch on." But that is all for today's video. Thank you for watching. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, please drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for daily Rangers content. We post all the latest Rangers news every single day, so make sure you join our fast growing community so you never miss out. Thank you. I'll see you in the next video.